I just wanted to, before going into the program, yeah, I don't know, like give a bit of technical info. There was a program that I think is behind me. We are gonna change slightly this program. We had some last minute, how can I, yes, like this. Last minute changes. But we are gonna start with the connection with Kharkiv. This exhibition, this event, this final part of the event is mainly focused on the exhibition that is currently happening in Kharkiv, sense of safety, from which like the initiated this idea of bridges of solidarity that has to do also with live streaming. And there are like, I think Maxime is going to tell us a bit more, but at least more than 20 other events around the world that are connecting and supporting. And we are going to have a bridge from here to Kharkiv in a second. Then there is a switch in the program. Instead of having Lesia at 5:30, Lesia is going to be at the end. So we're going to have hopefully UKRAiNATV from Kyiv, yes, and then a performance from UKRAiNATV. And in the end, at 6:30 again, Lesia is going to be here physically present to do a lecture performance that she prepared, especially for this event, especially for the sense of safety exhibition, looking at curatorial text, and she decided to really focus on this because she felt the urgency of it. Yeah, this is the program. Sophie, do you wanna?
I wish you have good time.
Thank you. And maybe this can be a moment to invite Julia, also from The Void and UKRAiNATV, hybrid person.
Hybrid person, please.
And Maxime to join the stage. And we can start with the first part. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Some water dropped on the stage, but it's fine. No worries.
Hello, it's very nice to see you there. And yeah, thank you for the people that are here in the space. We are now connected with Kharkiv at the Yermelov Center. And together with us today there are Marina Konieva and Elizaveta Koval, that are the art manager of the center and the curator of the sense of safety together with Maxim Timinko. And I don't know, like we were all looking very forward to this. I'm also a bit, I don't know, emotional about this connection. I'm really happy that you made it. And I also hope that you are having, I don't know, people there, or you have all our support. I want to send you a big hug from people here in Amsterdam. And yeah, I don't know if you want to introduce yourself a bit. And I have some questions for you, but it's very open, so I will give you the word.
Yeah, so maybe Marina would start to introduce.
Представити себе. Вітаю, Марина Конєва, одна з співкураторок цього проєкту. Я знаходжусь в Харкові, і, власне, проєкт сам наш народжений від серця Харкова і від його реалій. Я мистецтвознавиця, викладачка в Академії культури в Харкові і, власне, практикуючий куратор.
So here is Marina Koneva, one of the curators of the exhibition, and she lives in Kharkiv as the project which was born at a curator and teacher in the Academy of Arts of Culture.
Yeah, sorry, we lost you for a bit. Like connection was not the greatest, but I think I don't know. I think we understood.
We do not.
Do you have us like very clear?
We have some problem
With the audio
Okay, because I think the either
and
our
with the video.
Let's try to reconnect for a second because you're very lucky. Let's give me a second. No, the call is working. We lost their connection. Hello? No, it's we don't have their video and can you ask to reconnect?
do we have an alternative link?
No, but this link is stable. It's
Yeah, sorry for the lag, but this is part of the experience, so hope you will accept it.
Maybe we can say in this moment that we have a background, we have direct
second.
view. Yeah?
Take us the microphone in front of both so they can hear. Do you want to? No, we have two. Amazing.
Yeah, so by the way, in the background, we have direct view from 6 cameras from the space of the exhibition. So I'm waiting for the connection. We can have kind of a walk through that points of view,
maybe Maxime, you can say something about this video.
a virtual visit. Hmm?
Maybe I can comment on these videos. These videos are live from the space in Kharkiv,
Yeah,
and we are
Noir
seeing the
Center.
cameras.
Mhm.
Yeah, the cameras. There are multiple cameras. I think there are how many cameras? 6 cameras.
Live streams. Yeah. So until we're here without our Kharkiv colleagues, I'm Maxim Temenko. Yeah, Marina. Hey. You're back. Nice. So
Let's try again.
yeah. So yeah, Lisa, maybe you introduce yourself.
Okay, so hello, I'm Lisa, and I'm a manager in the Yermilov Center, and I'm also based in Kharkiv, and yeah, I'm just happy to see you all, and I hope it could be a nice talk.
Yes. I'm Maxim Temenko. I'm co-curator of the exhibition, and I'm right now with all these nice guys from Void and UKRAiNATV in Amsterdam, and we are kind of sitting together in this screen. And yeah, I also hope for a nice conversation. And in the background, we already start to talk about this. We have live streams from the exhibition in Kharkiv. We have 6 cameras, and if you go to the website safety.antiwarcoalition.art, you can see the live streams there, and you can read a lot about the exhibition.
Maybe I can, I don't know, like start with a couple of things that I wrote down because I was like personally really looking forward to this moment, and I mean, I have some kind of previous information because I had a talk before with Maxim and we had some meetings. And something that I was really interested in and kind of came up many times is a bit the origin and the history behind the name of this exhibition. So the sense of safety. What does it mean to you? How do you, I don't know, came up with it? Like, it's a very, for us, I think it's also a way to connect to your situation a bit and try to feel closer, even if we're so far away. And I don't know, like, if you want to talk about that, we will be super happy to know more.
Питання про назву виставки та як вона народилась, бо це спосіб наблизитись.
Так, ну сама ідея, вона народилася від Харкова і тих реалій, в яких ми знаходимося, коли ми 100% ніколи не можемо відчувати себе у безпеці. Власне, так само, як сьогодні, коли ми йшли до вас, в місті відбулися чергові вибухи.
So the idea and the name of project, they were born like just in the reality of living in Kharkiv, because you cannot feel safe for like 100% nowhere. And for example, when we were making our way to the studio, the city was shelled again. And
І ідея проєкту так само народилася під час чергових бомбардувань. Власне, тоді, коли на ранок у нас мало бути обговорення ідеї проєкту, вночі в моєму районі, там де я живу, стали летати шахеди і знижатися і вибухати. Я їх чула, як вони пролетають над кришею. І розуміючи, що я не можу себе захистити, я просто накрилася ковдрою. Це не давало фізичного захисту, але це давало таке певне заспокоєння по-дитячому.
So the idea of the project was born the night before the meeting, where curators wanted to discuss the idea of the project. And this night, Marina was at her home, and the shaheds, it's like a drone. They were flying around the houses and they were exploding, and that's...
І спостерігаючи за тим фактом, що я не можу себе фізично захистити в цю мить, коли все навколо вибухає, але згадуючи дитячий досвід, просто накриваюся ковдрою, демонструючи себе, що я в будиночку, я в захисті. Я подумала про амбівалентність цього поняття безпеки і про те, наскільки важливо іноді, навіть якщо ти не можеш захистити себе фізично, заспокоїти, захистити свій емоційний стан.
So this night, Marina was trying to make herself feel safe, and she recalled the memories from the childhood when you just covered yourself with the blanket, and it made you feel safe. So she could not make her like more safe physically, but she tried to make herself mentally and
І в результаті на ранок ми обговорили цю ідею, думку всією командою і зрозуміли, що вона доволі актуальна як і для харківського глядача, так і для європейського, наприклад, тому що якщо харків'яни не відчувають себе у безпеці, то і мешканці інших країн Європи не можуть відчувати себе у безпеці, бо ми доволі пов'язані. І та безпека, яку зараз відчувають в іншій країні, вона може змінитися в будь-яку мить. І нам здалося, що це поняття, воно важливо зараз і актуальне для всіх нас.
So that's how they started to discuss the duality of the sense of safety and how important it is not only for us in Kharkiv or other cities in Ukraine, but also in Europe, because in Europe you cannot feel yourself fully safe because there is a context of the war and
Це може змінитися в будь-яку мить і їхню ситуацію.
and it can change any moment and the situation is not stable. That's all.
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I just wanted to thank you very much for this story, and I don't know how you came up with this idea, and I think like listening to this even now, like for me, it makes it very clear like how this is exposing also our privilege, and it demands to us to get involved, you know, like, and start to understand that we are actually involved in this, even if there is this illusion. In some way, it's of course like it's much more safe to be here, but as you said, like you never know, and this should be a way to make us, I don't know, like also like feel that there are like many connection points, and that we are all like together in some way, and then we can take action and we can try to support and be part of this.
Yeah, I can add a little bit that actually that was one of the ideas to bring both locations closer together. Like, although we do exhibition in Kharkiv and it's for people from Kharkiv, and we think of like with the solidarity and thinking of their situation, but at the same time it's very important that we try to bring this topic, which is already kind of like quite boring and we already get used to it, and this is the war, and again every day we have some news, and so kind of like people already getting tired of it. But I think it's very important here in Europe to talk about it every day and remind people that it's real, it's very close, and this closeness we would like to really emphasize and show it. That's why we try to make these connections and bridges of solidarity between Kharkiv and European cities. We have main and like a heart of the project in Kharkiv, but we have more than 20 different art organizations and like initiatives who really try to collaborate with us. As today's event, we try to make these bridges and put together people into that. Although it's digital and networking, still there is a kind of like real direct connection between people. And
Can we all say hello to Kharkiv?
yes, please.
Hello, Kharkiv.
I don't know if do they see you from here? I mean, you can come and say hello.
Yeah.
Just a fast. Okay, someone from the audience wants to say hi.
I'm a native from Amsterdam, and I hear about Kharkiv sometimes through the radio in Holland. We have a very nice hello. We have a very nice colleague who is doing really great stories about Kharkiv. He won the national prize with the radio. I forgot his name, Drieberg, I think. Anyway, this show, you know him.
Yeah,
He's okay. He's cool. Yeah, he should survive. Yeah. All right. Well, just to say hello from Amsterdam, and I hope we can. What I think is the challenge for stream art, right here. Like I said, when I came in, it was so clean here. It was not even smelly. It should not be like that, because what you do is a real challenge. You say you come closer, and I come closer now. Yeah. And what you, I think, really want to do is to create intimacy. And the challenge is not so much that we don't have the power to share our feelings. But the challenge is to do that despite all this technology around us. That's my feeling. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Another thing that I don't know, it's very interesting for me and very impressive, like about the fact that you decided to open this exhibition in Kharkiv, and no matter what, like I imagine not just like as a choice, but also putting together the resources and organizing it. Like this is incredible, and I'm curious, like to know about how the local community there, like approached this, like because something that it was also always like kind of incredible for me is how even in such difficult times, and really I cannot imagine that the role of like the cultural like practice and like art is still like crucial, and it's not something that, I don't know, we always maybe think about it like something accessory, like something that is extra, and there are like more important things like, I don't know, survival or like basic needs, but this still seems like something that people want to have in their daily life, even in such a, I don't know, like kind of situation. Like this is my question.
Про роль взагалі арт-спільноти і те, як вони сприймають це, бо може здаватись, що там вижити це більш важливо, ніж культурні події, але як вони взагалі це сприймають?
Насправді в тому та й важливість, що для того, щоб в будь-яких умовах, в цих умовах жити і відчувати повноцінно, що ти не припиняєш своє життя, що вкрай важливо. Якраз для того і треба мистецтво, підтримка ком'юніті, продовження творчості, тому що інакше ти нібито дозволяєш росіянам, ворогам впливати на твоє життя і зупиняти його. І ось це такий процес супротиву, якраз не припиняти творити, не припиняти мистецтво.
So that's the process of resistance in some kind of way, when you do not stop creating and do not stop living, like in general, because we cannot afford this stopping. We can't let Russians just I don't know stop our lives, to put them on a pause, and this is a way to support local community and a way to just feel alive, I guess, just to feel this normal, kind of normal way of living.
Ну і тут важливо ще й показати той факт, якою є наша реальність. Справа в тому, що в нас мистецтво є і безпосереднім захистом, тому що Єрмілов-центр є одним з найпотужніших бомбосховищ нашого міста. І люди, які приходять на виставки, вони на певний час отримують певну умовне відчуття тої безпеки.
And also it's about the real sense of safety, because Yermilov Center is actually one of the biggest shelters in Kharkiv, and it's important to let people just come and spend their time in a safe place.
Okay, say what do you think? How you think? Про те, чому мистецтво потрібно. Скажи, як ти думаєш? Добре. І, власне, важливо, що ми цим мистецтвом підтримуємо один одного і бачимо. Насправді, перший культурний проєкт, який відбувся в Харкові після повномасштабної війни, він якраз відбувся теж в Єрмілов-центрі. Це був музичний концерт, коли люди нарешті, хтось десь волонтерив і не знав, хто виїхав, хто залишився в місті, хто чим займається. Але всі прийшли на концерт, побачили один одного, і це було максимальне таке відчуття щастя і солідарності в тому, що нас не зупинили, і ми продовжуємо працювати.
So it's also a way to not only support each other, but also to be seen, because it's important to mention that one of the biggest events in Kharkiv after beginning of the full-scale invasion was at the Yermila Center, and it was a music festival, and it allowed us to just see who's there still and who is I don't know, because there is a lot of people. There are a lot of people that are volunteering, that who moved to another towns, and this major event it allowed us to see each other, to just feel connected, and to feel the solidarity, and yeah.
Ну і через мистецтво ми відчуваємо підтримку міжнародну, тому що от як наш проєкт, в якому ми бачимо, як художники з інших країн, в країнах, де все спокійно, вони приїжджають, наважуються, приїжджають в Харків для того, щоб провести воркшопи, провести лекції, передають свої роботи, дарують свої роботи, проявляють різними формами солідарність. І це дає можливість демонструвати харків'янам і нам самим відчувати, що ми не покинуті, не відрізані, і що за нами велика потужна сила.
And also it's a way to be seen by other countries and people from other countries, because when lecturers or artists, they come from other countries, from peaceful countries actually, they
те, що вони приїжджають, проводять лекції, те, що вони проявляють по різним формам солідарність, дарують свої твори, передають твори.
And they show us their solidarity in different ways, in presenting pieces to the Kharkiv's museums and Yermilov Center, and by just coming, they show their solidarity. So it's important.
Ну і зараз наше спілкування це ж така ж сама подія.
And our conversation here is the same event that shows solidarity.
Скажіть, чому це вам важливо?
Marina asks why it's important for you.
You mean like this connection, this I don't know, there are many reasons actually, and I think I can connect to what you said now. I think like an important message is like conveying this fact that culture, events and art, and it's something that is really necessary, and it's something that is really working also on a emotional level, and on this thing that you said about the community, seeing who's there, seeing who's close to you and is able to give you, I don't know, warmth and this sense of safety. I can imagine it's something that in the generic discourse of information, and mainly in the West, there is this, I don't know, I think way of showing in the news just data, numbers and facts, and this reduces the experience of people, the personal experience, to just, this news that is to be judged by someone else that is not in the situation. But this, what we are trying, the fact that we are doing these bridges, and then, yeah, sure, it's, I don't know, for me, it's really something that it changes.
I also want to add that I feel not only my responsibility, but actually I feel in my community responsibility of giving the place for this kind of events and this kind of projects, because it's not only because I'm Ukrainian, because in our team we have a lot of people not from Ukraine, but which can also feel this responsibility to show, to give the voice and to support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does someone else from the audience maybe wants to come, because you cannot see it now. I don't know if we're gonna be able to show you, but there are a lot of people like sitting in front of us and listening to you, and we're all very excited. So if someone wants to join, and I don't know, like also tell like why this practice is important for you, or if you're getting inspired by this and you want to share, here is the mic. Or do you want to say something about your personal motives?
Yeah, my motives kind of personal. my motives are personal. My family lives there. I couldn't just be silent, and so it's really came of necessity to do something, to show, to support, to, although like from the beginning I thought like, yeah, who needs art during the war and catastrophes? But then, yeah, talking to Marina, talking to Natalia, Lisa, so we realized that it is really necessary also there. It's not just like a kind of entertainment. It's like Marina said, it's a way of resistance, it's a way of supporting people. And yeah, and I think it's, for me personally, it was so important to go there, to be in Kharkiv, to see reality there, which is completely different from the news and the tragedy which happened there every day, which kind of like hits you very deeply. But still people, I'm really amazed, people every day, because we have this live cameras, live streams, I see every day people coming to the exhibition, people watch art to try to perceive it. It's amazing. It's just like something which gives, I don't know, for me personally, it gives energy to do something more.
Do you want to come? Okay, there is someone from the audience that wants to also dare their point of view. Carolina? Okay.
Oh, here I am. Just in the middle of you two. Hi, I just, I have a small comment and a short question. Yeah, I just want to also echo what everybody else has been saying here. As someone who has worked in the cultural sector here in the Netherlands with institutions, sometimes it's easy to feel a bit disheartened by their abilities or what they can do, or in my experience, what they cannot do. And often we are all kind of in a sounding board, and I don't know, I feel a bit sometimes pessimistic about their role in what they can change. And doing this here, and I think having this stream with you and seeing what you are doing and being able to support here, and having like you speak about how art and creating this really is living more than beyond surviving. I think that's the true meaning of what institutions should do and can do, and museums and art. So it's very inspiring. Thank you. And yeah, my short, speaking of living beyond surviving, my short question would be your visions for the future of this exhibition with this art. What have you been dreaming about?
Що буде далі ще?
Наші мрії подальше.
Щодо чого?
Які плани в майбутньому на виставу?
На цей проєкт?
Так.
Ну, насправді, коли ми обговорювали цей проєкт, ми говорили довго, що він створений саме для Харкова. Тому основна оця центральна частина, якби її ми змушені були кудись переносити, то ми б відмовилися його реалізувати. Якщо б ми змушені було б його робити, не знаю, там в Києві, в Івано-Франківську, Львові, то це було б неможливо, бо він народжений Харковом. Але тим не менше, в нас є багато мостів, які ми плануємо продовжувати, поки йде проєкт, а він буде до середини листопада, і продовжуватимемо далі, тому що для нас важливо ось це звучання і розмова про ту головну той меседж, який ми посилаємо, тому що все частіше чуємо, що там європейці втомилися від війни. Але якщо так жорстко просто про війну говорити, це одна справа. Але коли це емоційні речі, про відчуття безпеки, про внутрішні стани, це такі загальнолюдські речі, через які ми можемо доносити наш меседж, і ми хочемо далі працювати ось з тими мостами, хочемо далі це розвивати.
So as for the exhibition, it's not quite possible to just relocate it somewhere because it was born in Kharkiv, it has its heart in Kharkiv, and it was created specifically for Kharkiv and citizens of Kharkiv, and that's for the exhibition. And for the bridges, we want to continue on to continue with the bridges because it's like one of the ways to just feel something in common with the audience in other countries, and also it's quite a lot that we hear about Europeans are tired of hearing about war or something like that, and for us it's important to just to know that it's something that all have in common. It's emotions that we experience, and it's experiences specifically, and
Maybe Maxim does.
yeah, maybe Maxim wants to add something.
Yeah, that's actually, yeah, this bridges is the kind of like the idea of expanding exhibition from just geographical location from one place to reach more people, to reach more ideas, and to spread the ideas what we have and include this conversation and exchange. So this is the main thing which why we do these bridges, and this is the way we would like to continue and maybe like because like Marina said, the exhibition will be finished in November, but I hope that network and the connections which we build right now with this, they will stay and they will kind of grow, and maybe will be some fruits from it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is connected for sure to the like the beginning of this day, because in the morning we had like a network meeting and we were exactly talking about this, how to nourish the network and how to make it grow and to keep it horizontal and like in a way that everyone that is not in the same place can understand and share their ideas. And yeah, I don't know, like I'm super happy and grateful for this conversation. I think we have to go on with the program.
Maybe, yeah. We also do some donation running on our website. If you go to safety.antiwarcoalition.art, you will see a button, donate, and we raise money for barrier-less infrastructure into Yermilov Center, because it's very old bunker building, which is not like it wasn't meant for inclusivity and kind of like accessibility, and so this is a like kind of our campaign is to raise money for making infrastructure there. Like on the website, yeah.
Maybe we can try to share it later on the live stream, because this will go on until 6:30, 7, something like this, so people that are watching or in the space can support also in that way, because it's very important. So, and I don't know, like I really want to thank you again, and I hope this was also interesting and nice for you, and I wish you that you have a nice continuation in Kharkiv in the gallery, because I imagine you will stay open a bit longer. But thank you very much, Marina and Lisa, for being here with us, and for all the people like in the space here and there. And thank you also, Maxim. Yeah, and then now I think from Krakow, our friend and collaborator Gleb is starting the next chapter. But yeah, like hope that you will be connected also later. Bye.
Technical change. I switch.
Every time I
Are
try.
you gonna say something with Gleb first? No? Ciao, Gleb. Wait.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. We established the simultaneous which are crossing the borders of information river. I don't know how to hold camera. Horizontally or vertically?
Horizontally.
Okay. Hello. Другий приход.
What's the question? Do you know?
Yeah, maybe. We try to break the silence and watch around because I'm a bit lost in the production process. Hello, Gleb. Nice to see you here across screen. And this is just the introduction, yes? Because Damaso asked about this.
Yeah, exactly.
So we are waiting for questions, or we are waiting just maybe for the moment to switch from some jitsi and background more virtual, because this is what we prepare for tonight. It's kind of a rehearsal or the test, or in the same time like a part of ongoing research process of mixology that we deal with. And some introduction also to the performance that will take place on Sunday at 5 o'clock. At the very, very last moment of the exhibition here. And collaborative process between Lorenzo, between Gleb, between Sophie here, and maybe with a little bit of looping from my perspective. But at the beginning, this is also linked to something theoretical investigations by Gleb himself, because his thesis. And this is what we did today morning, collecting some topics and collecting some aspects about stream art, streaming, expanded television, hybrid togetherness, and I don't know, collaborative television, we can call it also, this breaking that borders between players in this multi-directional way. So I think I need you to help in this mixing here, and myself coming back to the computer over there, and I don't know.
Okay.
Let's stay with Gleb and with our
I can.
structure.
Then I switch to your YouTube channel, and we can start. Or do you want to give an introduction?
I think my introduction will be expanded during next 20 minutes.
Okay. Then the floor is yours, and I switch to.
Yeah, let me know if you have our input. I will. Let me know if you have sound.
Yes. I'm gonna leave this room now, and I'm gonna leave the floor to you on YouTube.
Hello. Give me back my green screen, please, in original way. Of existence. Today I'm wearing suit, so I would seem more serious for you, and maybe this information you will take as something more important, because usually people analyzing the information through the how person looks. So let's have a test. What is art and knowledge in times of crisis? Probably it is stream art. The concept of stream art is evolving in response to the dynamic technological and cultural changes occurring in the face of global cross-sectoral crisis in the 21st century. Stream art combines elements of performance, telematics, hybridity, digital technologies, tactical and social media, expanded television and publication, creating new forms of interaction that transcend traditional boundaries of time and space. And the most important, stream art is a network. In the age of global crises such as wars and pandemics, stream art becomes a hybrid co-presence enabled by technology and human will. It becomes a tool for building solidarity and community, even when physical contact is limited more and more. One of the most innovative and interesting projects in which I'm a part of is UKRAiNATV, which becomes a stream art itself to create spaces of co-presence in the context of Russia's war against Ukraine and other trans-regional tensions. UKRAiNATV serves as a platform for artists, activists, and communities where participants share their experiences, emotions, knowledge, while simultaneously forming an experimental community. This project reflects the hybrid nature of contemporary and future art, merging physical presence with virtual, multidirectional interactions, allowing for the exploration of new forms of expression in hybrid co-presence.
Eu.
Stream art encompasses many components from the field of art technology and media. The foundation of stream art includes internet, television, telematic practices, and practical-based connection in between. In telematic art, our telepresence is disrupted on the internet. We are present both here and there, beyond the body and re-embodied, dematerialized and reconfigured at the same time, writes Roy Ascott in his publication, Telematic Embarrassed Visionary Theories of Art Technology and Consciousness. Telematics derive from the broader field of interactive art, whose early signs can be observed in the mid-20th century, when pioneers like Max Benz and Fritz Glanner experimented with abstract kinetic sculptures. As a distinct and consciously shaped movement in contemporary art, interactive art began to crystallize in the 70s, as confirmed by reactive environment in Myron V. Kruger's physics space. The process was primarily possible due to the gradual implementation of electronic tools and digital computer technologies in artistic practices. Breakthrough interactive project by Myron Kruger and telecommunication works of Douglas Davis, Kit Galloway, Sherry Rabinowitz, and other creators played a crucial role. In the 80s, The trend continued with the telematic works of Roy Ascott, Robert Adrian, Nam June Pike, and, well, as installation by Lynn Hersman, Paul DeMartis, and Jeffrey Shaw. Development of interactive art has not merely an endogenous phenomenon, nor solely the result of technological advancements in information and communication. It was rather the outcome of an expanding and complex dialogue between art, technology, often mediated by science, as well as profound cultural transformations in the second half of the 20th century. These transformations, including globalization, pluralization, virtualization, and networking, were reflected in numerous theories from the humanities and social science, such as philosophy, sociology, cultural theory, communication, media studies, social psychology, aesthetics, and art theory. Interactive art was integrally connected to these processes and responded to the changes of its time, evolving at the intersection of artistic, philosophical, scientific, and cultural ideas of modern technologies. It became an essential component of its cultural context, serving both as a reflection and a tool for interpreting that context. Interactive art today is a little bit cringe. It has increasingly become a highly commercialized aspect of culture, often prioritizing market appeal over genuine artistic exploration. Many interactive artworks are now designed to attract mass audiences, focusing on spectacle and user engagement metrics rather than meaningful or challenging content. This commercialization often leads to the delusion of artistic intent, as creators may feel pressured to conform to popular trends and consumer expectations rather than pursue innovative or subversive themes. The heavy reliance on sponsorship, brand collaborations, and corporate funding can further compromise the autonomy of interactive artists, as their work becomes entangled with the agendas of commercial entities. Additionally, the rapid integration of interactive art into advertising, street entertainment, and consumer experiences blurs the line between art and marketing, reducing interactive installations to little more than eye-catching gimmicks that serve to promote products or enhance brand visibility rather than provoke critical thought or cultural reflection. Also, weird evolution happened to the internet. When originally imaged as democratic space for open information exchange during Web 2, it has increasingly morphed into a platform, often with no horizontal rules, dominated by self-interest, popularity race, corporate agendas, and monetization of attention. As major tech companies and social media platforms prioritize profit over public good, the online environment has become saturated with content designed to capture attention and drive revenue, often at the expense of meaningful engagement of community building. Algorithms are crafted to promote content that generates clicks and ad revenue, favoring sensationalism, misinformation, and superficially over substance, and truth. This profit-driven model has fostered a self-centric culture where individualism and personal branding overshadow collective values and genuine discourse. Censorship and content moderation practices further exacerbate these issues, often skewed towards protecting corporate interests and avoiding controversy rather than ensuring fair and balanced information. Voices that challenge the status quo or threaten profitable narratives are frequently marginalized or silenced, while sponsored and commercially available content is amplified. This environment not only stifles free expression, but also encourages echo chambers where users are fed only that aligns with their existing beliefs and preferences, reinforcing bias and deepening societal divisions. The result is a digital landscape that reflects and perpetuates the most exploitative aspects of capitalism, prioritizing profit and personal gain over the potential of the internet as a truly open and collaborative space. Thomas McPhail, electronic colonialism theory, posits that a new global culture has emerged, shaped and dominated by large multimedia corporations that control and distribute the flow of media content worldwide. Companies such as Disney, Apple, Microsoft, Google, and IBM operate beyond geographical boundaries, standardizing and selling audiovisual products to international consumers. This global flow of media content influences how audiences perceive the world, shaping their worldviews and consumption habits in accordance with a media-driven culture. One of the most severe impacts of EST is its influence on developing countries. Although the internet facilitates global information sharing, it often marginalizes these nations. Most websites are in English and originate from developed countries, primarily the United States. This digital dominance threatens local cultures, languages, and perspectives without effort to promote locally produced content and enable developing countries to become information providers. They risk becoming electronic colonies, forced to consume content generated by the developed world. On the other side of informational influence stands Russia, which uses the internet and cyber networks to pursue its regional and global policies, spreading the so-called Ruski Mir, Russian world. Russia has long experience utilizing online platforms and popular culture as tools of influence in Ukraine and other post-Soviet countries, seeking to maintain cultural, political, and ideological control over these regions. This influence extends beyond traditional diplomatic and military strategies, deeply penetrating online spaces and popular media, including platforms such as ВКонтакте, Одноклассники, RuTube, and Russian language entertainment, such as TV shows, radio, movies. These platforms and cultural products play a crucial role in shaping public opinion, creating a vision of high Russian culture with the ballet and other best things and better things. Russian platforms and their influence to other platforms serves as ideological influence. By leveraging these digital and cultural channels, Russia aims to maintain a strong position in the region, shaping public opinion and reinforcing its geopolitical objectives. The struggle for cultural and informational sovereignty in post-Soviet countries, with Ukraine actively fighting against Russia, both on the front lines and in the informational environment. The 21st century has fully revealed the impact of global information automation. While the internet has the potential to connect the world, it simultaneously poses a threat to cultural diversity, facilitates the loss of local traditions and languages, manipulates less developed societies, and becomes a tool in hybrid warfare. The effects of electronic colonialism may ultimately resemble those of mercantile colonialism, where developed countries control not only physical resources, but also the flow of information and culture. Today, we are grappling with mounting and overlapping crises. Growing inequalities, the rise of far-right movements, which sometimes are barely different from far-left movements, dystopian threats from automatized artificial intelligence, endless wars, and the looming realities of climate catastrophe, knowledge and ignorance has become battlegrounds at the intersection of media, art and politics, while apocalyptic visions circulate as everyday themes. In these times, where can we find radical new imagining and a sense of autonomy once associated with tactical actions? Tactical media may have outlined the shape of future events, but this framework can no longer be seen as exclusive to any progressive agenda. All our actions include the topic of telepresence. It encompasses the wide range of experiences, from traditional remote control or devices to more complex and immersive interactions, such as those found in live mediated performances. One of the most well-known examples is Stellar's performance Pink Body, in which the artist's body is remotely controlled by others, fully embodying the concept of remote control. This work explicitly changes utopian narratives about telepresence, presenting it as a strictly dystopian light. This type of exploration of telepresence connects with the concept of teletrust, which shifts the focus from technology itself to the human experience, particularly how trust is built and maintained in mediated environments. A central element of telepresence is the notion of uncanny presence, where the sense of physical presence is reached by the encounter with disembodied entity. You disappeared for a moment.
Hold.
As you can see, hybrid spaces are never stable.
Oh.
And they need our attention and our presence
Attention.
to have a sense of its being.
Being.
The discussion extends further, highlighting the cyclical nature of our relationship with technology, where initial fascination with the new media is often followed by disillusionization and sadness
Oh. Oh.
and hopeless.
Oh. Oh.
But it will be rekindled as new generations of artists, researchers, and scientists will re-engage with existing platforms. This cycle underscores the importance of trust, which is not given but must be constantly earned and resensed in the context of evolving technologies. This perspective challenges the notion that technological advancements alone can resolve the complexities of human communication and interaction. Give us
What?
the internet back!
Back. Back. Back.
Through intensive research and daily activities within Streamer Studio and UKRAiNATV, a team of artists and media diggers explores a wide range of potential applications and interpretations of the concept of hybridity. Hybridity is understood whereas the coexistence and fusion of diverse orders, moderates, and modes of avatars, data, machines in both analog and digital realms, offline and online. This approach enables new forms of collaboration and engagement, providing a framework to understand the evolving dynamics of artistic cooperation in digital and hybrid spaces. We empathize, amplify, and sympathize the need for a more precise definition of hybridity in the context of art, media, and transdisciplinary research. A hybrid approach in stream art promotes dynamic, multidirectional flows of information and creativity that go beyond traditional forms of communication and participation. Ultimately, I want to highlight that stream art not only redefines traditional artistic models, but also becomes a tool for social integration and activism. It enables the creation of spaces where diverse voices can meet and coexist, which is particularly crucial in a rapidly evolving digital world. As a developing discipline, stream art provides a unique perspective on contemporary and future practices, integrating media forms within the post-digital landscape and promoting a new, more collective form of creativity.
hear this unpredictable reality going down and up. Повторяй, за голову ти не теряй. Голову ти не теряй. Hello. Yes. So the next our chapter is probably Kiev. They are should be there. Should be yes, they are there. We need to turn on the Can find it in Yes.
she has an interesting past of an artist who came from Ukraine to New York and also studied there for some time, and then she has an interesting past of a documentary and art photographer, which are connected together in different ways. So in this specific stream, because we are recording our interview later today, we want to talk about how Ukrainians and Ukrainian narrative is kind of censored in modern. Ira is a perfect person to talk about that because she has experience of art fairs, different exhibitions. So yeah, it's like, this is Ira. Hi, hello.
I don't think I'm that perfect as an example, but
nobody is perfect.
We will find something to talk about for sure.
Nobody is perfect in this studio and in this world. So no, I'm not. I'm the most imperfect one.
We'll see.
Thank you for your kind words. So let's start. Maybe you wanna. Maybe we can start from the thing that, I don't know, I can share the experience of me being censored online because I'm a person who have been can turn off notifications. Влад, выключить notifications, but should know Telegram. Okay, so I can start with talking about my experience in Instagram because you may know or may not know, I've been erased. My digital footprint was erased from Instagram and Facebook by Meta 6 times already, and now I have my 7th account, which Meta tried to erase twice already this month, but they gave it back to me because I'm kind of a good girl online right now, so I'm trying. Вообще? Ану, а тепер? Ану, чу? Ну, давайте тоді перевіримо через цей включай. Вы же такое делаете стримы. Так. У нас все чутно, це в них якийсь прикол. У нас чутно все. Ми дивимося стрім телефона, у нас. We're like watching the stream, so it's like we're watching from the internet connection. So maybe, yeah, it's definitely.
No, it's perfect. It's really perfect.
Okay, we're gonna continue then, because we can, yeah, I don't know. So basically, I am kind of in a way, Meta tried to erase my digital footprint, and right now my 7th account, Slave for Ukraine, was kind of like restricted for 2 times this month, but they gave it back only because I was actively commenting on the post of Biennale and this Russian film director, which also on her page, I created one comment and I shared it on the post of Venice Biennale,
this like Le Biennale Film Festival account where I just genuinely said what I think about Russian being highlighted, and in the time where they were in the same time the same Russian soldiers are raping Ukrainian children and women and killing people and stealing their shit, and this fucking director had the audacity to create a film from Canadian money in order to show that Russians are not that bad. Like, yeah, they kind of rape children in front of their parents, but they're not that bad. And she said that she was with them like for a whole year, and she filmed some kind of like the atrocities they made, but she said that she didn't film anything aggressive because they didn't do anything.
They didn't commit war crimes, as far as I remember. She said that, like, I didn't see them committing war crimes.
Yeah,
that was the quote.
I wonder why. Yes, so I just like I just wrote this comment and I actually edited it with ChatGPT and I posted it twice or 3 times, 2 times on her profile and 1 time on Le Biennale, and then and this comment started to be like really like it got a lot of reaction because I have more than 700 likes on Le Biennale account and like 300 likes on this comment in her, like in the account of this woman director. So I think that's why I got restricted, and I also wished Russian to die. Obviously, I try my best not to wish Russians to be killed and raped, but it's like really hard. At one point, you just like you keep it to yourself till the like one final moment when you see something like, I don't know, another fucking video about Russians. I was like aggressively commenting on Russians because it was first day of war, and yeah, I think I lost my second account on the 23rd of February, actually. Very iconic.
So were they labeled like hate speech or something?
Yeah, hate speech, propaganda of not criminal, but some aggressive online activity. And yeah, then I had my third account and I lost it when I was in Milano because it was my first Ukrainian protest near Daoma. There's like this church, like cathedral in Milano, like Daoma, and Ukrainians are there every day. And my first experience of protest there was when I came there and there were Russians, and it was their day to protest. Like once I went there and I was lucky enough to meet all these like Russians with like white blue flag, and who are like, we're also victims of the system. And I filmed the video where I show facts to them, and then my third account got deleted. It was kinda, I don't know. It was.
So is like fuck as a gesture is forbidden too these days?
I just show it to people and I filmed it, and then my third account got erased, and yeah. So this
is too much.
Yeah, it is too much. I kind of miss my old photos because some of the photos and things I made stayed only in that accounts. Oh, I can't find people because some of the connections I made were like I never like back up all the like people I follow, and now I start doing it because sometimes I lose some kind of meaningful connections with people whom I met somewhere like during my trips or online, and they can't find me for a couple of years, and then they find me, we finally reconnect, and then my account get erased again. So it's kind of, I don't know. Now I'm trying to have this like Buddha practice where I never really where I never try to, I don't know, feel too connected to my activity online, because I always know that it can be erased. So I'm trying to let it go, but still it's kind of painful because right now I'm doing like this great project where I need my auditory, and if my account gonna be erased again, it's gonna be like I need a couple of months in order to have my auditory back.
So did you figure out like a way to play it smart and like do it differently, like express the same thoughts but like in a more digestible way for Westerners or whoever is reading
I think it's like this thing is happening because Russians are putting a lot of financial support in Meta. That's why they basically, you can't like openly say that you hate Russians and wish them all dead, even children. But the thing is that you can use like different signs in order to just like write it down like if you write like word suicide or shit, like any like bad word, or some kind of like aggressive thought, you can put it in the signs which can be read by AI. But still, it's like kind of I haven't figured it out, but I think that thing is that at that point I just got like, I'm trying not to say anything because I can't find the perfect way. I only can write something when I'm angry. I can't write when I'm kind of like chill, relax. I only can write something like really meaningful when I'm angry, and I can't write it in a peaceful way. I write it very sharp, and I don't know. I just write it how I can't find any other way to express my feelings and emotions. And yeah, maybe it would be smart to find another way, maybe a hook or something, like written right.
Well, I actually admire people like you who still go to the comment section and like find energy and time and like inspiration to be posting all of these things, because I just can't anymore. Not because I don't think it's important. I think it is important, and as I said, like I admire people who do that, but just because I feel like I'm talking to the void, you know. Just a bunch of Ukrainians who understand, maybe like a bunch of like a really small batch of, I don't know, like people who are non-Ukrainians, and then it's like you're screaming in a empty field in the middle of nowhere, and no one's like listening to you, or like people can hear it but they don't actually care. So that's my bitter feeling as a Ukrainian these days, but this is very real, and maybe that's why I can't say it's a personal decision, it's just like it came naturally to me, but if I want to express something like that, I just do it like in a very diplomatic way. Especially when you address some cultural institution, this is the only way where you can expect to get a kind of response. If you just write it like in a smart, sugar-coated way. Yeah. But what I noticed, and what I think is even more triggering and kind of sad, is that many of these institutions, they don't even when you write it in this like more subdued way, they still don't think, they still don't respond many ways. They don't like release any official statements. I think like just being a Ukrainian who's screaming into the void is like a thing. Many people in the West, or like some cultural institutions and stuff, now have like a silent agreement on like, we're not going to react. We just, you know, all these Ukrainians with their like bitter emotions, like, you know, stop being so angry, Ukrainians. Like this kind of stuff. Yeah. Do you feel this happening?
It's like saying to a woman when she's like angry that she has PMS or something. But you at least, you know, you at least react there. But it's like the same exact feeling where you don't have a response. It's also a response. I think that not having an action is also an action. You don't always need a response in order to understand how people are feeling about something. If they are not responding, it's also a response. Pretty clear, pretty, I don't know, obvious response that they don't care. And yeah, I think that the only thing you can do there, it's like, I don't know, kind of ironically interact with it. Because like when you are not being ironic, you are being hysteric. Because like any unironical interaction with this kind of institution can be considered hysterical from your side. Because if you're like being blunt and you're saying that this is like bad people who don't give a fuck about the tragedy that happens in your country, they would say that you're overreacting. But if you say that they're like, but if you put it in an ironic way, they can't say you shit because like you're being like, it's just a joke. You use the same pattern. You're like you're saying mean things, but when they're like being offended, you're like, oh, it's just a joke. You use the same patriarchal kind of thing. That's why I'm thinking about like using it. But yeah.
So like irony as a tool of resistance.
Yeah,
online resistance.
I think that it's like even if you would be a person who would come, for example, for a Venus Biennale, and you would be in a T-shirt, and this T-shirt would say something like, I don't know, we don't care, like I don't know, Le Biennale doesn't care, like about the story. I don't know, I can't, like, I'm not a meme-making machine, but you can make a meme about Le Biennale not caring about Russian soldiers portrayed online, even though the same Russian soldier, for example, raped a girl like a month ago. You can make a joke about that.
Yeah. By the way, that's like an old thing. So they used to have all those like illustrators in newspapers like back in the day. So essentially the same thing. It's just like a short and smart way to just laugh at something and expose the...
Okay, what about your experience of being an artist, and was your like sometimes work censored in a way that people were like, can we talk about something else, not about your Ukrainian war? Like, I don't know.
Okay, so this is pretty complex. I would say that the stuff that I do has not been controversial, even though I'm consistently working with topics which are kind of on the edge, like, you know, like sex work or like war in Ukraine or like, I don't know, minorities, all of that stuff. But I think the way I'm working in is like very consciously ethical. I think I obsess with ethics sometimes just because I hate offending people. Maybe that's why. And maybe some other elements. Maybe because I'm still a romantic who believes in like some sort of a change for good. And I'm like a, kindness sucker, a sucker for kindness still in that day and age. So because of that, I've never been doing anything outrageous or something that required censorship. But yeah, and I can't say that any of my stuff was silenced because it was like about this or that. I think I had some problems when it was sex work related and Eastern European women related. That was the time when I felt a lot of
that's the first time
anger and like emotions, especially from white American women, I would say. And later on, like I wasn't able to understand like why I'm showing this project at all the portfolio reviews and suddenly men are okay. And all the girls and all the women get like pretty angry and pissed off. And just later on I realized that maybe for many women everywhere in the world, like sex worker is like a trigger because this is someone who can ruin their like perfect established married life or something, and Eastern European woman is like a Ukrainian woman is like a separate trigger.
It's a symbol of a sex work.
Yeah, it's like
Visa bride.
Her from a third world country. So maybe that's why. And I feel that's a lot of times why my work was not accepted because of the topics I was dealing with. But the way I was working in, even in my like this early sex work camming related project, I don't expose any nudity, which was a conscious thing and a conscious approach, not because I shy away from nudity, just because I understood this is not what I'm making this story about. Yeah. When I started like doing more of work, obviously, so like most of the Ukrainian artists do these days, which is obviously war related. I don't feel I was censored in a way, because if they accept me, they accept me. If they don't, maybe that was like a soft, once again, sugar-coated way to censor. If they're not like up for showing anything Ukraine related, then it's like such a big obstacle in the beginning that I just can't get into this thing. But what I think is another interesting topic is when we talk about representation of war in media. Psychologically, I know historically, there's always been psychologically a limit for the viewers to the amount of violence they can see from, just from a picture in a newspaper. For example, there is this like old school British war journalist. There is even like a pretty cringeworthy Hollywood movie about him and his writing partner, Mary Calvin, I think, and his name is Paul Conroy. And they were like, a war journalist duo back in the day in like 2000s or something, and they were like reporting from Syria and all that kind of stuff. And back then it was, the newspapers were really like important, unit in just showing and telling about these stories, right? Because people were actually learning about all of that from the newspapers. And last summer I was taking like some course with Paul about like safety in a war zone, and what he said that even back in the day, like they would not run any pictures which are very violent, or like because people would just like would not stop and would not look at the picture. They would just like turn the page. So it's not what we were talking about, but I think it's an interesting like psychological element to consider. And for example, did you watch this United 24 little documentary which like gained like a crazy amount of views online?
Kokobongo one?
The one where there was like a Ukrainian like little military unit with like some alternative guys or something.
Kaifariki Kokobongo.
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, it's my friend Connell.
Oh really? The journalist.
Yeah. The journalist whose camera got. Yeah, he lost his camera there. But he was able to...
So it was during the assault, like all this type of thing.
Yeah.
So I rewatched it with a friend like a couple of days ago because she really wanted to watch it. And I thought like, yeah, it gained like a huge amount of views and like a lot of really supportive comments and like for people who support Ukraine from all around the world, or all those guys like just geeking out at how like heroic all these guys in the frame are. And then I thought, you know, this is pretty like... I'm not talking about like what the militaries were experiencing in the first place. Of course, they're like heroes and it's an incredible thing what they did. But if you look at this as a media product, it's like a perfect tale, like good guys fight bad guys in a good country. And then it's like shit gets really hard and like really crazy. And then in the end, only one guy gets a little injured and everyone else, you know, survives, right?
It's
and
a
I think
story, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, I wonder if any of them died, would this video be would this video be as viral and as popular? Because you know what I'm talking about, because it's like
I
in the
understand.
way that things evolved and like the events evolved in this like real
it's
story.
a wartime fairy tale almost.
Yeah, like almost like a Hollywood plot. And of course we're not talking about the real life event and what the militaries like the servicemen have
and also
experienced.
journalists because this is my friend. We linked online long time ago, and we met in Berlin, then we met in Kiev, and he had a severe concussion after this, and he wasn't able
like a physical from the
after this material he had a severe concussion and he couldn't move for a couple of weeks. Then he started to move really slowly because like he couldn't leave his flat, and we were trying to meet for this 2 weeks. I was like really worried about him, and I was like, do you need some help? Do you need like some medicine? I don't know, come and give you like, I can order you food or something, like, do you need something? He was like, no. It's like, you know, people being very polite and not trying to be like to show that they're like in difficult situation. But I understood that he's in difficult situation because we tried to meet for a couple of times and he was like, no, sorry, I can't go anywhere, my head hurts so much. And after he's in Ukraine right now, actually, and he's right now in Kharkiv or Donbass, I don't remember, but we are meeting on weekends. I really want to see him. And yeah, it's like the thing that the story went really good, and I think that it's because Kaifariki also is a perfect image of this like young guys in tattoos who are like kind of crushes of a lot of girls and gays in Ukraine, and then they're going somewhere, and all you already know them from Instagram, and then you see them like how they fight, and you're like, oof, this is hot, and then like one guy gets injured. Yeah, it's almost too good to be true. And it's nice that I'm really thankful that something like this happened, that they were like not dead. And it's like,
we're not talking about that.
Yeah, it's a great story.
Like something that the Western audience really appreciated.
Yeah, they want to see something like this. They didn't want to see that people, I don't know, that there are almost all of this, a lot of soldiers who are coming there. Their year of birth is somewhere like 2000 or 2004, and it's people who are 20 years old, who are almost children, and they haven't lived and they are dead already, or they don't have legs or hands, or they're or they have such a strong PTSD that they can't speak because they can't say anything, and
no one wants to.
Yeah, nobody wants to see that. Like, it's kind of sad. And when you talk about it, people are like, oh, you're giving a bad vibe. Can you stop?
Yeah, you see people are really like shying away from bad vibes and like things that make them uncomfortable. So this is might be one of the many reasons for censorship.
Yeah, maybe it's a good point in order to, if you want to have, if you don't want to be centered by meta, maybe you can just like put this good vibe there, like make your tragedy shine through with some kind of more gentle tragic vibes, some kind of tragedy, but with happy ending and a good main character.
It's like a carnival.
Yeah, it's kind of
to carnivalize and like campize everything we do actually, in order to draw some attention to the things which are horrific. So that's what we learned about human nature as Ukrainians.
Yeah.
And we learned fucking a lot in the course of the last 3 years.
Yeah.
As humans.
I actually like the first year of war.
Yeah, compared to what we experience now, it's like...
I was more happy, actually. I miss first year of war. All of my friends were around me. It was, like, really nice. Now they're all over the world. And I kind of think that it was one of the happiest years of my life.
Yeah, weirdly so. Yeah, of course, it was still a lot of death and destruction.
Yeah,
but I know
yeah.
what you're talking about. Like,
Yeah, it sucked anyway. And I also tattooed like 22 on my arm. I was like, it's the worst fucking year. Now I'm in 2024. I'm like,
you have this tattoo, 2022? I think all the Ukrainians can... Oh, shit.
And I was like, it's the worst and the cringiest fucking year. I fucking hate it. It's like, and now I'm like in 2024 and shit just keep happening every fucking day. And now I'm like, I don't know.
You have to start crossing it out like people in prison do, and then draw like 2023, then cross it out and 2024 and until the end of our days.
Yeah, I just got tired. I think I will be tired very soon. It's like...
Aren't you already?
Yeah, I am. I think it's gonna be worse next year, so...
You think so? Yeah.
Of
I
course.
always remember in the very first days of the war, I've been talking a lot with my friend from Armenia. I think I've been mentioning this in some interview already, but I still remember, I still think about what she told me, like, not every day, but pretty often. And she was like, yeah, the worst part of the war is when the war is over. So...
So it's definitely gonna be worse. What the great vibes we have today.
I mean,
what a positive...
we have Club Mate and all that.
Yeah, no sponsorship though. Club Mate, please contact us if you want to sponsor this beautiful, this beautiful
better advertise
Żywczyk. Yeah, Żywczyk, please.
The Valerian route.
Yeah, we definitely need something to calm us down because.
And another great Ukrainian drink, which is like CBD drink.
Yeah, at least now.
Working. It was working like really hard in the first 2 cans that I drank. And
maybe you have like too much CBD right now. Maybe you should just smoke a joint.
I'd better not. Trust me.
I understand some people. I don't know. I just prefer not joints. I prefer this gravity bongs. It's like this like mokry.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
the only like THC and like cannabis infused thing I was able to tolerate in my life were like those little gummies.
Well,
I mean, they're kind of strong, but when you take like a little piece of it, it's something I can endure.
Yeah, but it's like because you digest THC in different way. You're not through your lungs, but through your stomach. It just like
and
hits.
It's more mellow.
Yeah,
it's
it's like more like I don't know, calming vibe in a way. But you're tripping, but not so hard as when you're.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing just because I don't know how it relates to our topic. Yeah, it relates to our topic because it was self censorship.
Yeah.
So I was once like participating in a podcast because I was taking pictures during January 6th in the US when there was like this like Capitol storming thing and like Trump thing. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Capitol, it was when there was like these people who were wearing some weekend shit.
I was there and I
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Oh my god, wow.
Yeah,
oh my god.
And then someone like an American journalist who's like a really great friend, he invited me over to his podcast in his like little studio in Brooklyn, and he wanted me to like talk about this experience as a Ukrainian, you know, being in this like far right crowd and everything. And then he gave me, because I hate weed and all that stuff, like, but he gave me like a little, it was around Thanksgiving, so he gave me like a piece of stuffing, like this Thanksgiving something, which was infused. And this
did he tell you?
He did tell me, but I was like, you know, I'm in his studio, so I felt this is like, I'm a good guest, so I have to do this. And also the whole thing was like really huge, and he gave me just like tiny piece. I got so stoned. I fucked up the whole podcast. At some point I started like justifying like Trump crowd and saying like things like, oh, you know, they were pretty polite to me, they were like giving me a hand, and you know, all this like crazy bullshit, which was not even like the main topic of the whole thing. And then later on, because I was like so stoned, and I never do this, like I'm normally like pretty like, yeah, whatever, like I did this, I don't have to be shy, but in that case I was like, can you please not air it, because it was a fucking mess. So talking about self-censorship, right?
Yeah, sometimes you need to censor yourself. It's like such a good. Sometimes when you understand that you're like, I think that I really love oversharing sometimes.
Oh, let's
Yeah.
overshare.
Okay.
We have to wrap it up.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna have whole hour interview to overshare and share our inner cringe. Thank you for your attention. Glory to Ukraine and death to Russia. Bye.
No, закінчили на хорошій ноті, да? Позитивне соус.
From this live hybridness and walk around here, we can actually speak with each other and have an interaction. So for this reason, I would like to welcome on stage Lesia. I'm still, like I said it before, but I'm amazed by the fact that you decide to like shape also this lecture, this talk, based on such a short notice, and I'm really grateful for this. I'm going to give this space to you and enjoy.
Thank you. Okay, you show me how to turn on also the video.
Yes, but first some technical difficulties because the computer froze, so it's restarting. On the meantime, I'm going to introduce you.
Thank you.
So, Lesia Kulczynska is an independent curator and visual studies researcher from Kyiv. She holds a PhD in film studies from the National University of Kyiv Moly Academy in Ukraine. In 2018, she was a Fulbright scholar at New York University, and in 2022, a fellow at the Biblioteca Hertziana Max Planck Institute of Art History. She's currently an independent researcher at NIAS, looking at how images related to the Russo-Ukrainian war are produced, shared, and consumed. Her focus is on the strategies and infrastructures behind image creation and how violence is used as a tool to produce impactful images. So I'm going to say without further ado, but not really, we have to wait a second for the computer to restart, and then you can start.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for having me here. So as I understand, I'm kind of after the end, so maybe it's kind of a postscriptum to this event. So to be honest, I did, well, I don't know how to say that. So I'm happy to be in this bridge with this Kharkiv show, but unfortunately I haven't seen it. But I wanted to relate to it somehow in my talk, so I started to reflect on the concept of this show, or on the title, which is on the sense of safety, because of course this is a topic which bothers me a lot, and it's something that I'm thinking a lot about. Yeah, but I've been thinking, as far as I am now in this situation of the bridge away from this place, from Kharkiv, so on this distance, so I've been thinking about the relationships, my relationship to this place as a viewer, and yeah, decided to speculate a bit on this sense of safety or unsafety of the viewer. The topic which interests me a lot in general, but somehow eventually my thoughts moved into the very specific moment where I think the sense of safety was lost, maybe forever for me, which was an inception of the war in Donbass. So I've been speaking a lot about that, but the thing is that this very important moment that I'm trying to speculate about is something that I have never experienced, right, directly. It's something that I only saw on the screen. So I think that my talk today will be more, not even an analysis, but more something like my fantasy about this moment, based on certain images that I saw. Yeah, so I will read, so I apologize for that. Maybe it's going to be a bit boring. But as far as this text is actually more like a report of my thinking process or a fantasizing process, so it's difficult to recreate it as a speech. So I decided just to read. But I think we should wait for the computer to work, right?
Yes, it's going to work. We're switching computers because this computer is really just freezing itself.
Yeah, because it's the end already, according to the schedule.
Yeah.
According to here.
It was too long, the day.
Yeah. Okay, it works, right? Yes, so maybe I should say it in advance. I'll be speaking a lot about a documentary. Where is it? Here. Oh, it's ready, okay. About a documentary movie produced by Ukrainian artist and filmmaker Piotr Arminovsky. So at first I wanted to show some film stills, but later I decided just to show you this movie on the background without the sound, but it will they turn it on later. There are subtitles, so you can read and you have a choice whether to focus on me or on the movie. It's up to you. Okay, so on unsafety of the viewer, that's what I'm going to talk about today. For a long time, and the long time before the war in my country started, I was intrigued by the phenomenon of horror images. Frankly speaking, it all started because I was afraid of watching horror films, and that was precisely what intrigued me, my own fear. How could it be that the mere image could feel like a source of danger, I wondered. So to figure this out, I forced myself to start looking at what I was afraid of, the horror films. And I was surprised to discover that there is an entire variety of horror films addressing specifically this, the fears and dangers related to image. Maybe you remember such films as Paranormal Activity or Astral. I guess that they're too old, maybe, for you to remember. But if not, I'm sure there are other films of this type, so you can recognize the narrative I'll describe. So the narrative of such horror films usually evolves around relationships between visible and invisible, and the role of imaging technologies in it. For example, in Paranormal Activity, there is some invisible supernatural force that haunts the main character, Katie. At first, this force manifests itself in a quite harmless way through very mundane things like that you could easily explain, like flickering light or some door movements. until Katie's husband sets up video cameras in the house to capture what was avoiding humans' gaze, this invisible force. And he succeeds. Cameras record what the heroes have failed to see, and this technologically produced image transforms what might have seemed just a mirage into a fact. And then this invisible force, once caught into the image, breaks into reality with unprecedented force, and then basically the horror begins. In today's, that's my son. In today's therapeutized world, we would tend to interpret such narratives and the main kind of character, which are demons, as usual. We tend to interpret demons, the usual inhabitants of such films, as a metaphor for unconscious. So the metaphorical meaning of this kind of story could be like this. Once you bring your unconscious to the light, you have to deal with it, and it might destroy the symbolic universe you had built on repressing it. That is a relevant interpretation. Why not? But what if the image we use to access the unconscious also matters? What if different visualization would bring different consequences? Just think of the difference between demon, as in these horror films, and childhood trauma, as an example of diverse visualization of some unclear anxiety. Other ways to represent some elusive, disturbing feelings could be the image of social injustice, climate change, enemies of the people or state, nuclear threat, you name it. And we might suppose that the place where power of and the danger of image nests is this transfer from invisible into visible, from unseen to perceived, from elusive to clear. It is in this place where some troubling repercussions might happen. Regardless of whether we are religious or not, we all build our worlds on something we haven't seen or encountered directly. Very often we fill the gaps in the visible in our vision of the world with images provided with others. I will also do it later today. In the part of this talk dedicated to the inception of war in Donbass, I will address the images captured by Ukrainian artist and documentary filmmaker from Donetsk, Piotr Armenovsky. In the wanting of direct experience of these events, I have no other option than to rely on those images, trust them, or believe in them. That's how, by hitting our not knowing, the operation of rendering invisible into visible is very often an operation of power. That's why the industries performing such operations on a massive scale, from media to science to religion and sometimes art, are the pillars of power. So the next little chapter calls Mirror. In 2014, while preparing the lecture on the fear of images, I watched a horror film called Oculus, maybe you saw it, by American filmmaker Mike Flanagan. It was released in Ukraine with the tagline, "Want to live, close your eyes," which seemed to me a nice epigraph for that lecture that I was preparing. By a strange coincidence, this movie was released in theaters in April 2014, the month when the war in Donbass started. The main character of the movie is basically a cursed mirror. Everyone who looks at it starts seeing hallucinations, which are either threatening or seductive, but always and inevitably lead to violent or self-destructive actions of those heroes. Later, I discovered that the original English tagline of this movie was, "You see what it wants you to see." And then I thought that it sounded like a reference to the unfolding disaster in my own country. How to show the image? This one. Yeah, I wanted, this one. Yeah, I wanted to show you a drawing. I don't know if you can see it. That's a drawing by Ukrainian artist Katya Lipkind. It's a dark spot and then an inscription above it. I can only guess what shape is my face. Our encounter with the mirror is always a bit of a surprise, isn't it? Surprise, as well as horror, is rooted in the unknown, in the invisible. Indeed, whatever picture I see around me, there is always a blind spot in it, something unreachable to my gaze, which is my own appearance, or my own face. as in this case. That's why mirror is a very basic device for rendering invisible into visible. We can only receive the image of ourselves from the outside. And this experience is the core of the horror plot of the Oculus. The evil mirror manipulates the reflection of the heroes in such a wicked way that they are going insane. Ukrainian stand-up comic Vasil Baidak once joked about it. The reason why my soul lives in my body is that it is the only place from where my soul can see it. But while we can see ourselves, others can see us, right? The mystery that really bothers us is how we appear to others. We can access others' visions of us through words and images communicated to us in different ways, directly or indirectly, privately or publicly, sometimes through art, and very often through media. Of course, in the last case, those visions are purely fictional, because they don't belong to anyone specifically. By counting on them, we might start seeing unexisting entities. The war in Donbass, as you might know, was preceded by the intense Russian-induced media campaign in the region, which made its inhabitants literally hallucinate. Looking at their screens, as in the wicked mirror from the horror movie, they started seeing themselves as potential victims of the imagined Kiev junta, eager to assault them, as well as hostile gaze, hostile West as a hostile West plotting against them. They started seeing themselves as vulnerable and endangered, surrounded by vicious enemies. US and European troops masked as a civilian infiltrating Ukraine to start the war in Donbass. Divisions of armed fascists preparing to attack Donbass to kill Russian-speaking people. Pharmaceutical companies plotting extinction of Donbass population in order to store American weapons in the emptied coal mines, etc., etc. At the same time, they started seeing themselves as an object of Russia's care and protection, along with seductive pictures of their future under the Russian rule filled with prosperity and happiness. Exactly like in that movie, those hallucinations led to violence and self-destruction. And I must apologize here for this, that I am using this word they or them. I really don't like it, but when I'm speaking about the people of Donbass. But let's suppose that I'm speaking about the movie characters from this film that I'm going to show you. And so now I want to play this movie, which I think is really stunning documentary by Ukrainian artist Piotr Armenovsky. It's called Volodya, the Hero of Revolution, which managed to capture the peculiar moment when those hallucinations I'm speaking about broke into reality. Although it is entirely based on documentary footage, structurally I think this film is a horror. So the protagonist of the movie is the teenager Volodya. You saw him in this red hat. He's an aspiring video blogger, dreaming of becoming a pop star like Justin Bieber, and he also is a political activist. Unfortunately, I don't see the subtitles for some reason. But okay, nevertheless, you'll see the pictures. So Armenovsky, the director of this movie, who also lived in Donetsk before the occupation, followed Volodya, this is him, as he moved through his everyday activities, from making videos and hanging out with friends to taking part in the pro-Russian protests in Donetsk and eventually in the seizure of the municipal administration. When I first saw this film, I could not believe it was documentary, because the world where Volodya inhabited looked to me completely fictional. It was so obviously crafted of the copy-pasted excerpts of the preceding Maidan revolution mixed with fragments of Soviet films and post-Soviet conspiracy theories. But it looked like the inhabitants of that world didn't recognize that. For example, the protesters in Donetsk used the mottos that emerged during the Maidan, like "Militia z narodom," police with the people, or "Bandu gety," translated into Russian, "the gang should go away," without knowing their origins. The managers of the protests asked protesters to self-organize, mimicking the language of the Maidan. At the same time, our hero Volodya wondered how such thing as Maidan could have happened in the first place. It's always tickled my fantasy, he says. How they gathered all this Maidan? How did they gather them? How did they organize it in the beginning? Did they approach every person with this? Who is this they, I'm wondering? The very idea of self-organization is not even considered by him as one among the possible options. His interlocutor explains to him, Americans trained them in Lithuania for 20 years. There are a lot of videos on the web about how they prepared, he claims. Most conversations in the film sound truly surreal. Some participant of the protest claims that the Soviet order of the working class has an esoteric power over any, as he says, Anglo-Saxon orders. Volodya tells his mom that there are two kinds of dollars, for Americans and the rest of the world. His mom tells him that European Union and US troops in disguise has already invaded Western Ukraine and started invading Donbass. She also said that Ukrainian girls are forcefully vaccinated in schools with mysterious unchecked US vaccine causing infertility. It was, by the way, 2014, long before the COVID. Those talks sounds as if they were written by some absurdist screenwriter. Sometimes it seems that even those who express those incredible ideas don't really believe in them. Maybe they just play their roles. The next chapter is violence. Now I'm quoting from Elaine Scarry. She wrote, fictiveness becomes a major attribute of language which precedes the physical injury. Elaine Scarry wrote in her book Body in Pain. Looking back at the inception of war in Donbass, I can't disagree with her. She explained that there are two main reasons for such an affiliation between violence and lies. The first is strategic. A confused and deceived enemy is vulnerable and easy to fight. But there is another reason, more complex, I would say existential. She writes, war is a massive fact of itself, a huge structure for the realization of cultural construct, and simultaneously for their eventual reconstitution. The purpose of war is to designate as an outcome which of the two compelling cultural constructs will by both sides be allowed to become real. Which of the two will, after the war, hold sway in the shared space where the two, prior to war, collided. In other words, war is an ultimate endeavor to anchor fiction in reality. Violence is a way to endow fantasy, or as she calls cultural constructs, with materiality. However fictitious the suggested construct is, it becomes real when someone pays their blood for it. But the flip side of this process, according to Scarry, is that it is precisely the feeling of derealization and fictiveness of reality that makes people crave war. The more fictitious our reality becomes, the more we are inclined to violence, to anchor it back in the matter, in the ultimate reality of physical injuries. Reflecting on what conditions should be created to make people want war, Scarry assumes that it is a shattered collective self-image, or, as she puts it, a national self-belief that doesn't seem compelling anymore. I'm quoting. What is the structure of the feeling of being eager to go to war? To invoke psychological and motivational words like aggression or pride does not answer the question, she says. The timing and context of such feelings suggest that when the system of national self-belief is without any compelling source of substantiation other than the material fact of an intensity of feeling in the bodies of the believers themselves, then war feelings are occasioned. That is, it is when the country has become to its population a fiction that war begins. Fictionalization of the world brings about the demand for violence as a means to regain the density of reality. That is why spreading surreal beliefs and conspiracy theories is aimed not so much at making people really believe in them. The real military goal of such information campaign is to create a split in reality, to incept the disturbing feeling that everything is not what it looks like. Again quoting Scarry, like the language of strategy, alliance and history, the language of daily conversation in the shadow of war is not necessarily false, for that would mean it had more certainty than it has. With each sentence one hears, the possibilities are completely open. Each verbal utterance has at all times the explosive duality of being at once very possibly true and very possibly false. And of course, there will be many moments in which the accuracy of the guess as to its truth or falsity will determine whether one lives or dies, right? Scary. Our hero of revolution, Volodya, also constantly relaying the myths of Russian propaganda, are also not free of suspicion. For example, discussing some reported violent attacks of the right sector, he said musingly, but again, there are no videos of this, nothing, maybe they just wrote it. According to Scary, it is not so much his beliefs, but exactly these inherent doubts and suspicions that formed him into the subject of war. In our attempts to cope with this unsettling split in reality, we become even more vulnerable to power of images, especially bright and seductive, lucid images of the better future. The trap of those images is that they unanchor us from reality even more, bringing the specter of violence closer. The next chapter calls Future. Watching Armenovsky's documentation of the pro-Russian protests in Donetsk that you're watching now, I can't get rid of the creepy feeling of looking into a strange mirror. There are many things that are so familiar to my Maidan experience. The overall mise-en-scène of a clash between people and power, an expression of people's will and people's call for justice. They used the same rhetoric of solidarity and patriotism, and people's awakening into action, even the same mottos, which I already mentioned. Volodya's excitement of participating in collective action is something very familiar to me. Feelings of unrest, dissatisfaction, and outrage, so intensively present in the Donetsk protests, are also so much recognizable to me. In fact, they are of the same origins as the similar feelings which were infusing the protests of the Maidan. Poverty, social insecurity, structural injustice, corruption were problems of Ukrainian society alike in Kiev and Donbass. Yet, the rupture between those two uprisings were in the images through which those disturbing feelings were rendered. The Maidan protests protesters located their discontent in the image of the then President Yanukovych. Maidan's solidarity was built on common hatred toward him and his rule. Therefore, the main clear demand of the Maidan crowd was its resignation. That was the common ground. The unity of the Maidan immediately slipped into controversy once the question arose of what should follow after the main problem was solved. I would say, relying on my own experience, that the question of the future was rather postponed during the events on Maidan Square, as the task was clearly in the present. I remember the feeling that the very event of the Maidan was a sort of escape from an unsatisfyingly predictable future, but since we rejected it, an alternative hereafter was totally obscure and unclear. There was some very unsettling underlying feeling during the Maidan. And here I wanted to show some images taken by, where are they? Maybe this, yeah, and there was some more.
Another one I can.
Yeah, maybe this, just leave it here, those two screens, yeah. So just a few images taken by Ukrainian artist Ivan Melnichuk during the Maidan, I think grasped perfectly this mood I'm speaking about. Contrary to the common description of the Maidan as a collective action, they show us rather individual stand still in the face of the unknown. The unknown was not only the future, but also the Maidan itself, the disturbing multitude under the surface of the fragile commonality. By the way, documentary film Maidan by Sergei Loznitsa also captures this feeling very well. The critics of Maidan claim that the absence of the clear common vision of the future was tragedy of Maidan, that because of this lack, the revolutionary potential was lost, and we haven't achieved anything but the shift of power elites and destabilization of the country. For me, though, this tragic dimension is a source of its beauty. I insist that those who stepped out to the Maidan made the step into the void, and that was existential rather than political choice. On the other hand, the tragedy of the Donetsk uprising was that it linked the same, very real feelings of discontent to the misleadingly lucid, ready-made pictures of a defiant and happy future where all those troubles would be solved. Those pictures were generously supplied, of course, by the magic mirrors of the screens furnished by Russian propaganda. During the successful storm of the city administration, that's it. Volodya, our hero, called someone on the phone and said that they would be a part of Russia just in 1 week. He was happy. He said that his dreams came true. Watching this mused guy from a place of the future today, we already know that they didn't. Contrary to the widespread esoteric belief of reality shifters, extremely popular in Russia, by the way, we can see that the visualization of the desired future didn't come true, but led, on the contrary, to a much darker place. What those images brought about turned out not to be happy and bright, but violent, relentless, and radically uncertain. Thank you. If you have any questions or suggestions, would be happy to talk to you.
We have still a few minutes.
So, should we open the room for one question, maybe? Hurt?
Hello, yes. Thanks so much for this reflection or provocation. I'm not really sure. Very disturbing, but very, for me at least, very new analysis. Maybe others have written about it, but I cannot remember because there's somehow a gap, a kind of a conceptual gap between Maidan and then war now, and nobody is connecting the two. So of course there's the history, and you can read the chronology. Yes, chronology, but so what? So especially from the perspective of 2024. And Maidan. Of course, we can read about what happened in that, eventful year. Yes, there are books about that, and that's not. But to link what's happening now and to Maidan, yeah, I have not heard anyone made that link. Why is it so unlikely to make that link?
Oh, thank you for this question. It's difficult to answer because in general, I think that for the people who participated in Maidan, it is difficult even to talk about that. It's very a kind of intimate experience. I was. I also have these issues, when talking about Maidan, and I explain why. I maybe touched it a bit in this text. The thing is that during the Maidan, of course, we had this kind of a collective body, right? And we had this feeling of solidarity and so on, and collective action. But it was, this feeling of solidarity was built on the fact that we were just standing together on the same place. In this square, we've been present together in this moment. Not so much discussing what we are standing for. Well, of course, there was, as I told you, there was this very clear claims like resignation of Yanukovych, but at the same time, it was so diverse that and of course we all felt that it maybe it's better not to discuss with your comrade what you are fighting for, because it might turn out completely different. And that's what happened afterwards, that when the Maidan was finished, people kind of avoided talking about it, because they avoided to, maybe they were afraid to to discover, to uncover those complex, those like contradiction that was inside of that event. And as an example of that, in the Visual Culture Research Center where I worked, there was an exhibition which was called Lost Possibility or Lost Opportunity. It was an exhibition by David Shishkan, and it was dedicated to Maidan, and he expressed his vision about this event. Namely, it was an exhibition about, like, his idea was that was a lost opportunity for the social revolution. These exhibitions were attacked by people who watched Maidan completely in different ways. So that's why it's in general very difficult to talk about that, because you immediately lose in this like very warm feeling of something collective, something common. And especially, of course, it's difficult to talk about the links between Maidan and the war, but why I reached in this point, because I was watching this film, I really think it's amazing. So, maybe somehow circulated, there is two versions of it, a short and long one, which one longer is 1 hour. That's the first time when I saw what was happening in Donetsk, and what was striking to me, that it really looks like a mirror of the Maidan. They use the same words, the same mottos, very similar things, but at the same time it's something completely different. But what is clear that they refer to the Maidan, those people in Donetsk, they refer to the Maidan as something, you know, as a point of disruption. Although, I mean, again, we can just speculate about that, but it's some, and of course the uprising in Donetsk was the beginning of war, so.
All right, I promised to ask one question, so I want to thank you, Lesia, for coming here. Some weeks ago you arrived in Amsterdam, and we're very honored that you are here with us. And we will for sure hear more from you, and you know, we will be coming back to this stage.
Sorry, I realized that I didn't say something important about your question.
Go ahead.
So I can, yeah, so first, that this protest in Donetsk was also called anti-Maidan, you know? There is this title. There was a Maidan in Kiev, an anti-Maidan in Donetsk. But also, why we can link Maidan and war? Because I think the war is basically an anti-Maidan, because the Yanukovych was a pro-Russian president. And once he was expelled, the control was lost. And the war is a continuation to, you know, to bring this control back. So it's, of course, very much related things, I think, directly, but it's difficult to talk about that, because then you say that Maidan led to war, and that's...
Yeah, I know. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
And with this, we're done with a very long but exciting streaming day. Yes, we're not.
I want to say thank you to everybody who stayed with us till this night moment, and to everybody in hybrid way watching, taking part. Hello Kiev, hello Kharkiv, hello Krakow, hello everybody, and thanks a lot.
Thanks everybody, and good night.